Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 55 of the build guide 2. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you for all the support on our zoo last episode, which has now been named the Eggs and Legs Wildlife Sanctuary. Thanks to our wonderful subscriber, the King of Mashed Potatoes, also known as Malay. And apparently this was also a strip club in Jersey back in the day. So if anyone ever frequented the Eggs and Legs establishment, do let us know down in the comments below. And a big shout out as well to JC Sandals for the idea to paint the sign on the side of the hill, which that's a great bit of brand exposure, I guess, next to the highway, doesn't it? So lots of fun. Anyway, thank you for being involved in the comments in the series. But in today's episode, it's time to head back to the wonderful world of Sharon. So we said a couple of episodes ago that Sharon actually smells like fish, but currently there's no purpose for Sharon to smell like fish because it doesn't have a fishing marina. And that's what I think we're going to eye up here. And because we've got the custom canals that we took inspiration from Imperative for this, I think what we could possibly do is actually use the terraforming here to create the marina on the right side of the track and have the boats come out into the canal and then off into the ocean. So that should be a lot of fun. Either way, lots of industry over here. I think we'll also play with some, maybe some high density tower blocks in these kind of spaces over there, so it might be a lot of fun. And hopefully get some people walking back and to across the canals here in Sharon as well today. But otherwise, let's make Sharon smell like fish in City Skylines, shall we? So I think we'll start off by actually matching up some dirt road guidelines with our keys. So I'd love to have the highway kind of passing by the marina here, so I want this to be quite a large water space. Let's go with, that's going to be what? 30, 40? Let's go for 40. I feel like 50 might be a little bit too deep, so we'll go with that on there. Let's go with our road guideline as well. And then let's pin this up by, we'll go 40 by 35. That should be decent enough, I think. And we can bring that down, and that should give us enough room just to squeeze in that key next to the rail line, which will give us quite a cool aesthetic as well, I hope. But otherwise, that's pretty wonderful. So it's now just a case of grabbing this little height here, and we can probably delete the key as well, but we'll push it through for right now, and then just dig out this entire space here. I guess we could even actually go a little bit further, couldn't we, and do a slightly more interesting shape on the marina. Why don't we go for slightly deeper this way? What was it, like 35 was it we came down? Let's come down by 15 in this case, and then we'll cut it across and we'll give a slightly different shape to the marina here. So the water is already trying to bleed through. So we'll snap our keys off about there, line up with that one, and we can bring this one down a little bit further as well. But otherwise, that seems like a pretty good marina shape, so we'll enjoy this filling up, shall we? Cool, that fills it up a good chunk of the way. Also make sure we're giving full access for that water to spill in as well. Fabulous, that should be not too bad. Should be quite a fun way to actually use a marina here. I haven't actually checked if we can even bring the fishing lines under this train bridge, because we might actually need to slightly readjust it, but no we can, so that's absolutely wonderful. We don't need to worry about that. So this is a really cool positioning for our marina, isn't it? Big fan of having the keys arranged like this. And kind of having the little inlet from the canal, and then that's the way back out into the ocean. Really cool. So let's actually get that aesthetic in place, shall we? I really want to see some fish moving around today. So let's go with, let's see, what do we even have here? What's the fish? I don't think we're going to have time to actually get them out into the shellfish, plus they'll also be sailing around the cruise liners, so probably anchovy. There's also salmon. Got a lot of nuclear salmon knocking about in Orchid rivers, haven't we? That little resistance of anchovies right there. Okay. Probably anchovy and salmon is the most appropriate one to go for then, isn't it? So let's have a look what we got to play with. Got salmon fishing harbour here. And then the anchovy one is a little bit smaller, isn't it? So let's have our anchovies closest to the exit of the harbour, because these guys are going to make it out into the ocean sooner. And then again, we do need to make sure actually we've got enough room to get out into the ocean, because these fishing lines are going to conflict eventually. So we'll have anchovies over there. And then let's go for a little salmon fishing harbour. Do we want to get any of the seaweed farms in, I wonder? We've got one here, haven't we? I don't think it'd be averse to a seaweed farm sitting in here, actually. It's an asset we pretty much never use. I think it'd be alright with that, you know. Let's also grab some roads here as well so we can start getting everyone aligned. So we'll have the seaweed farm, which somehow still produces fish. And then we'll do the salmon harbour in the other one. And that'll probably be enough. I don't think we need many more harbours than that, considering the size of Sharon. But that's going to be okay. So let's get the anchovy harbour set up first. We're going to lead this guy out into the ocean. We'll bring him around this way. We really want to keep him as tight to that wall as we can if we're going to be squeezing all these guys through. Cool, and then just do a little keep bend out here, catch as many anchovy as possible. And then hopefully you will come back down in a somewhat sensible fashion. We may have to widen the exit canal ever so slightly, but if we do have to, that's absolutely no problem. And fantastic. So you guys should be okay now. We'll see some little anchovy boats hopefully meandering away pretty soon. Once they have a road connection, I imagine they will anyway. Cool, so let's get these hooked in. Come across here, that's absolutely fine. And in terms of the road connection for these guys, I'm thinking we're going to have this one come out from the roundabout. So we'll have this one come something like that, I imagine. But then again, if we are going to widen this canal out here, then we might as well actually wait to draw that bridge in, hadn't we? So let's bring these through. Let's see just how much we need to widen out here. We'll send this one. Doesn't really need to go too far out of the salmon, I guess. So this one kind of meander around the coastline here. And then come back through. Yeah, see, we're basically like 2 tiles too short, aren't we? So that's absolutely fine though. What we will do is we'll just widen this out a tiny little bit. So we'll probably just hit a road guideline of that train line. I imagine is going to be the easiest thing to do. Give us a little bit more room to bring these fishing lines out. So give ourselves a bit more room than that. Go for that one. Just go for a little bit more, just in case we do need that extra breathing space. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I'll get these keys hooked in and everything reinstated to how we like it. And then we'll be right back. And it's now a lot wider, and our salmon should now be able to come to fruition. You okay, salmon? There we go. Now they are. I hope it doesn't look too ridiculous. No, our little boats move around here. You're going to clip the bridge? Yes. Yes, you are. That is some new modern art right there, isn't it? It's okay though, we can see the bridge slopes down, can't we? So we can definitely just increase the elevation of that bridge. We'll do that during our detour time lapse today. So let's actually provide a road connection for these guys. It's going to be really important today. And a small lane, or small 4-lane industrial would possibly be the best option here as well. So let's bring it down our smallest elevation, and we'll go for 2 steps up to match the train line, and this should just be a simple case of draw across and everyone be happy. I guess we could actually go for 3 inclines, and does that give us the suspension arches? It does, or the truss supports anyway. I do want this side of the map to remain quite industrial, so I think I'm on board with the vibes that these ones tend to give, and we'll mimic that descent back down as well. We'll come back down to Earth by hopefully 720. There we go. And now we can feed this off to hold a factory that we'll have in here as well today. Okay, so let's square off all of these guys here. Where do we want to create the level crossing? It's not an enormously busy train line, so let's just give it a simple one for right now, and we'll see just how that holds up to testing, I suppose. So I'd love another factory out here, and I think the one that makes the most sense is going to be the first one, isn't it? The seafood, for which we are producing plastics now. We have a brief look as to what's going on here. Yeah, 8 tons of plastic is probably being exported, I imagine, because I don't think many other factories are using it. Besides a soft paper factory, which is currently full of plastic, of course. Okay then, so we don't have to worry about plastic being an issue. Let's stick with our industrial roads in this area actually, let's not really stray too far from them. And I haven't ever used the seafood factory before, so we'll see what it's like. Have a little look at the asset, shall we? Nothing too impressive, nothing too dominant, is it? Quite tasteful, if you'll excuse the pun. And I think perhaps facing out toward the water might be an appropriate shout here. Let's possibly have a look at a holding frame to come right up against the key. And can we squeeze you in here? Oh, perfectly. Fits and sits, right? Those are the rules. It does indeed fit and sit, so we can have that facing right over our water. And I guess we'll rename this to Sharon's Fish Fingers. Special. So you will slowly fill up, and of course we can store fish in a warehouse now as well, can't we? That was actually changed in an update. So I'd be more than happy to provide a warehouse for fish and plastic. We'll probably have fish occupy the smaller one because it doesn't need to be stored in kind of vast quantities here. Just because it's right near the harbour anyway. We'll have that there, so you will store plastic because you have to come from further away, so the more we can stockpile the better. And you will store fish. Wonderful. Fantastic. So to turn to fishing, because we're not quite done with it, I'd like to have fish factory over here as well, which is going to turn it into commercial goods. Oh, and that sits and fits there, doesn't it? Can we move? Well, we can. We can get this to work. There's a whole host of sitting and fitting happening here, which I want to try and respect. So let's bring this up. We will place our fish factory here. I guess, yeah, this one's going to produce luxury goods. This one's just going to produce commercial zone goods. Just a lot of fish processing in one space, isn't it? So we'll have that there. So how much of the road can we remove before you actually remain happy? Quite a lot there, actually. So we can have that there. And then we can just park this small warehouse directly up and out front. Just have this space here. Maybe, I doubt an airport apron's not going to fit here, is it? Yeah, it will. Okay, I'd be happy to have a bit of, I guess, apron space here as well then. A bit more of an industrial complex. Cool. We'll also get a district painted over here as well, so we can give it industrial evolution. Please do give name suggestions for the name of Sharon's Marina. I'll leave that one up to you guys again. But we will set industrial evolution over this side. Okay, so I guess you're waiting on plastic now, right? Hopefully it won't be too long. There is highway access right nearby here, so I don't know, it's going to take a long time. What are you? You're delivering fish to Sharon's Fish Fingers, of course you are. Okay. It's working though. I'm happy with that. And is this going to be a problem here? Turns out there is actually quite a lot of trains, isn't there? If this does prove to be a problem, because we've already got elevation here, we can just embank this train line and actually have this as a bridge. But we'll see how that develops as the episode goes on, I think. And then we've also got the fish market as well, which I'm not averse to, but I don't think I want it over here. I kind of want this to be processing. Don't want people to kind of come here and buy fresh fish. I'd rather it be processed into horrible food. Kind of seems more Sharon's vibe, doesn't it? I'd also love to discuss a little bit of highway access here as well, actually, especially if we are going to be doing a bit of importing and exporting. So we've already got the train line coming out of Sharon, so we can just remove that embanked land. And kind of similar to what we've got on the other side of Sharon here, just some, you know, non-omnidirectional highway slip ramps. Always go a long way, I think. So don't want to be too close to this ramp here, so let's move it down. Let's snap to a road guideline. We'll have it from here. Let's move up a little bit so we're not clashing with that pillar. There we go. Let's have a little curvature that's going to come off and into this road here. We can downgrade these back into 3-lane until we know what's going to happen with the lane math. And now we have that grid, I reckon we can just... We'll go in for 180 of either side. We have to remove this train bridge just temporarily. Yeah, okay. Then we'll have this one come straight down here. Hook into the highway at a sensible location. That seems pretty decent. They're just little industrial service ramps here. We're not after a main sort of massive configured interchange. That should be okay. Our directions configured. We'll go back to 4-lane as we join the highway. If we can find our 4-lane roads. There we go. Special. And we could even come down into 2-lane here. I don't think it's massively necessary for an industrial service interchange, but it gives us that dedicated turn lane. And we'll also have to delete this until we reinstate the elevated line. Then like that, hopefully. A little steep there, isn't it? Let's not set the train please today. I'm going to bring this down by 1220. I'll get back in. Cool. Now that should give us some industrial ramps. Let's not forget to bring this one back in as well. Cool. So in terms of what we'll do with this, I think we might even end up configuring this also into a little one-way system here, maybe. Let's line up some roads first. So we'll have this one come in here, and then curve into the top. That one can connect in, and then we'll also upgrade this one into one-way as well. So they're flowing down there. I guess really we want it actually configured the other direction, don't we? Now we've got it all lined up. Cool. And it does give us scope to actually have something down here, although this is the 25 tile boundary. So we'll see what occurs here. If we do ever end up opening 81 tiles and we have the connection, if not, maybe a recycling centre or something would work down here. How are we actually doing for garbage processing in Orchid Bay? Oh, I'm actually just about to fall into the yellow, actually, so now would be a good time to prepare it. What do we want to go for, though? We haven't used many recycling centres. Waste processing complex seems a bit... I guess you could have some industrial smoked fish, right? Do we want to consider including the waste processing complex here? Obviously not in the marina, but as part of the build. I think certainly maybe over here might be quite appropriate. We might explore that. Let's bring this one down this way, and then we'll have the processing complex. Yeah, that's what it's going to be a perfect fit, is it? There's an enormous amount of sitting and fitting today, isn't there, everyone? Enormously satisfying. Tell me the space is already occupied by itself, but we'll draw it in. Here we go. Don't have that in. Of course, the alternatives might be some of the content creator garbage processing. We could go for the eco incinerator plant, which probably would be a little more friendly to food. Or there's also the old faithful Japanese waste disposal unit, but we do have one of those in Sharon's, Sharon's factory district, so I don't really want to include another one so close to it. But we haven't used the waste processing complex, and I did say I want to use every asset in the city before we finish. So that's the excuse to use that one there, isn't it? The fish people do seem to be waiting a little bit, which is not particularly ideal. We'll have to wait and see what goes on with that. Let's bring down some frames now, so we can start playing some industrial evolution stuff. I'd love to have some zonings fill this space up this way. Now let's start getting in some of that industrial zoning. I want to go for... I think we'll try and do some repeated patterns of 4x3 in this instance, I think. We'll do another one there. We'll start getting some industrial evolution stuff in. I want to keep it at fairly level 1 as well. Don't want to get it much higher than that, I think. How are our fishing boats doing as you guys come back in? It's catching salmon. This one's on his way back in. Very nearly caught 100% load. So they're about what, 93% efficiency at the minute? He went to 94, okay. And it is actually just plastic that we're waiting on to be delivered here. Guess it's just got to eventually fall into the logistical chain of Orchid Bay. It does have to come from all the way over there though, so might take a little while yet. And that is exactly where the asset I wanted to come in. Is it? Yes, it is. Perfect. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, so we'll have that on there. We'll start feeding some pathways around here, start getting some people walking. I did also mention in the start of the episode as well, didn't I, that I would love to have people walking back and to across the canals. So it'd be good if we could get that implemented. I think I want a bit of high density residential here, nothing overly complicated or engineered. Just a couple of tile blocks with some sports fields, most likely. So we'll set that up as where we eventually want people to cross the canals to. Just bring down some very basic road framage, and we'll have some tile blocks knocking around here. Let's have some roads near that canal so we can connect pathways into them. And we'll do something similar over here as well. Get some of those sports courts down, get a couple of basketball courts. Actually have them over this side instead. And then we'll get some of that high density residential in, because we do actually have pretty bad screaming demand. We actually had some nice towers over here. Where actually, what sort of size are we playing with here? Little 4x4 unit there, isn't there? 4x3s, 3x3s tend to work nicely actually for high density residential. So we'll let some of those shapes grow in. There, it'd be great, yeah, so we can actually get you connected here. What's the chances of just a simple connection from left to right? Actually, not that bad at all. Can we come off road length and grid? Oh, that is quite special. We can just come straight in there. Pillar there does stop me. But I guess really we don't even need that one, do we? Let's connect in the path, the key with the path over here. Okay, we'll get a little... That's a pretty... Just like, you have to duck, I think, a little bit getting into that. I'm not ripping the flyover out because that'll never go back in vanilla. And we'll have that one there. And then if we could just have this pedestrian bridge that runs over this way. Let's remove a few of these trees. Might even need to do a little bit of terrain here, but I'll sort that in the detail and time lapse. I really just want to see people hooked in here if possible. There you go, there is people now moving around the canals. This guy in a high vis. It's not a high vis, it's just a yellow t-shirt. Oh no, the water's dried up. You alright? We in a drought? What's going on? please don't do that. I need the water for the boats. You okay? Oh dear. Oh, that's just a flood from the nuclear plant, isn't it? That's okay. But is everyone else alright? I think so. I think we're okay. Anyway, let's get some more zoning in here as well. There might be a bit of commercial along here too. A couple of local shops for them maybe. I've also got the trolley bus stops here as well, of course. How's this line doing now actually? It's been ages since we installed these trolley buses. Yeah, they're pretty quiet, aren't they? There's nothing majorly busy about them, I don't think. Cool, yeah, so these will all continue to grow up. And hopefully one day we're going to see people moving back and to across the canals. Might be worth setting up another thing over here actually. Another like properly established walkway. So let's do that. Let's come into... Let's use a different pathway this time. Let's go for a bit of elevated university path. So let's come up by 2 elevation steps. That looks like it's going to be pretty nice to me, I think. I don't mind the little humpback in it there. Then can we come down by 1, 2, and then actually back onto the road as well? Would that work? Yeah, because that will remain connected into the key, which is great. So I'm happy with that. And then same thing here again as well. Let's come back down to the ground by 102 it was, wasn't it? And then we'll grab that vanilla dirt path again as well. And snake this up and around the back of these houses. And that should be okay. Little spaces to detail here as well on the time maps, isn't there? But hopefully that makes the transition between Karen and Sharon a little smoother for Sims to walk. Although now I'm seeing that humpback, I'm not massively enjoying it. We might have to redraw that. We'll see if it grows on me. But otherwise that isn't too bad, I don't think. That definitely wants recorrecting, but we'll sort that out in the time lapse. Cool, let's have a look at Industrial Revolution. This is good. I want all these mini repeated 4x3s in here. Yes, you're all whinging of not enough workers, but they will come. That high density has just been zoned. Yeah, don't mind something there to break the pattern, and then let's maybe do a couple of 3x3s in this space. See how this affects us. A couple of trees along here in the train line. And how many towers do we have in this space here? It looks like it's pretty ripe for a bit of parking, doesn't it? So let's dive into our content creator tab, Railroad to Japan, and we'll go with the more industrial themed parking, the Japanese one. That's the plaza there, let's not use that. Although I really do hate these Japan car parks sometimes, they get very glitchy with their concrete. It's super annoying in vanilla because you can't fix it otherwise. And then we'll split each one, I think, with just a little pedestrian pathway. Like it was a bit more parking. And everything else going up here. Is that going to be the hat trick? Is that the same asset again? No, it's not. Oh, how annoying. Oh, do I want my repeat? Yes, I do want my repeated pattern. You're going to have to go. We'll get all these in here as well. Hopefully they don't abandon due to workers. Probably a good idea actually to keep that high density residential demand coming in, isn't it? Let's bring another section of it down here. And we will try and hook in somewhere around here, and then we'll just hook in together under the bridge. Sure. Could be a good opportunity as well here for some perhaps slightly regenerated apartments. You know, perhaps at one point were industrial buildings for Sharon's fishing marina, but have now been redeveloped into something a little nicer. Possible green cities vibes might work better for that, but we'll see what grows in with regular. Cool, but otherwise, let's have a little look at how we're looking now. I really love the fact we've got the train line running through all this industry as well. We could also bring in a train-only warehouse, but we've got a few of those around the city now. There's also two more a bit further down here as well, so I don't think we really need another one in such close proximity. It's a lot of warehouse action for such a small space. Hey, someone is using the elevated pathway back over there. Walking with their very long cat, I think. Yes, there he goes. Good, so they're getting used now as well. This one is also back into to those trolley bus stops, which is great. Very cool. I'm about to get these in as well. Yeah, we'll wait and see on these assets. I don't mind the Art Deco ones. The Art Deco ones do kind of look like repurposed warehouses, don't they? Especially with all these like rigid windows in them. Maybe a little repeated Art Deco pattern might be one of the more appropriate choices here. Maybe these ones too. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We don't want things getting too luxurious and swanky after all. It is Sharon at the end of the day. I just noticed we've got these little lips here as well, haven't we? There is a way to fix this actually. Maybe we might go back and fix the little seaweed. While we are so close to water, I also wouldn't mind the inclusion of a little fire helicopter depot here as well. So let's grab, I think just the regular basic one should do. Don't want the high capacity one, do we? No, too much. Guess let's go with regular fire helicopters. I don't think I mind those being part of the marina anyway. But otherwise it's turned into just quite a tastefully laid out industrial landscape, isn't it? Nice little crawling height here as well. But otherwise guys, it does feel like a good place for a detailing time lapse in all honesty. We're going to bring in lots of detail around the train line, maybe even end up embanking it, and we'll see how I feel about the rail crossing. Not entirely sure yet. Yeah, lots of detail around here. Probably do something with the shoreline, maybe some kind of rock breakwater things. Terraform the ocean up a bit closer to the land. Have some rocks in and around it. Continue to define the new high-density residential towers that lie between the flyovers in Sharon. And get pathways and detailing around them so it all settles in a little bit nicer. And see if we can get some kind of gentrified vibe happening with this residential over in this point. And then a bit more industrial evolution scattered around the park, and maybe some more service assets as well, perhaps a bit of a smaller police station to function as a security entrance. How's this doing actually? Yeah, there's some people here taking the little industrial slip ramps back onto the highway, isn't there? Tiny amount of use at least. But use nonetheless. But otherwise, let's do some detailing, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little detailing review. So today's build has been a real lesson in what to do when you hit a tile boundary. We're doing some really nice stuff here against the tile boundary at the edge of Sharon. Decided to switch out to some wall-to-wall for the kind of re-gentrified apartment stuff here. I think it works a little bit better. These assets do have kind of like an old converted warehouse vibe about them, don't they? So they actually have a pretty nice view as they sit here enjoying the views across the marina and indeed Sharon as a whole. High density towers have now come in and I really like these all sat around the flyover. It looks really sweet, doesn't it? Really happy with those. So a bit more population in over this area and a little football pitch with some commercial over here by the rail as well. As we cross into the harbour, our factories are now stocked up and warehouses supplied, etc. We're going for a kind of a rock decal break wall here and a breakwater design, especially on this side of the roundabout as well, rather than just leaving it as sand, because we're not really going to turn these into beaches. So kind of rock breakwaters and rock walls and rock retaining wall vibes always work well around a marina. So got those in. There's some silver boats lining against our train line, which has been slightly elevated just so it looks a little bit more authentic as it crosses over the bridge and back into downtown, of course. And then over here we've added in a walking pathway that indeed links people back into from Sharon and my Starfield. That's just downloaded. Very excited to play Starfield, everyone. And then really basic detailing, bushes, overgrowth, fencing around here, dropped in a bit of airport apronage between the highways. And it's just turned into just a nice little organic looking industrial area that sits right up against the edge of the tile boundary. And indeed does complete the town of Sharon. And all that network prep we did quite a while ago in this area, to be fair, all those flyovers, walking pathways are getting used now as well. People come in back into on my keys, which is always exciting. The water flow here has become very inconsistent for some reason since we terraformed the key. It might actually need to be dug out a little bit further from the ocean, I guess. But it is staying pretty well flooded for most of the time, he says, as it does start to suffer drought again. But I imagine some terraforming will fix this. But otherwise, a nice addition to the town of Sharon, and indeed the completion of the town of Sharon as well. Bit of residential, industrial and commercial, all satisfying the demands here today as we finish the town. But otherwise guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, just feel free to leave me a dislike as well. Do keep your eyes out for a little incoming collab soon on the channel. There will be pings across Twitter and Discord and the community tab as well, of course. So look forward to that, but otherwise, pretty nice addition into Sharon. We've been planning this fishing harbour for a long time, alongside some re-gentrified wall-to-wall apartments and some industrial evolution stuff. It's not turned out too badly at all. I'm pretty happy with this side of the map now, and we can finally start heading towards our more rural town designs over the next few episodes, I imagine. So otherwise, until then, please do enjoy today's cinematics of the completed Sharon and what I'm sure will be a really nice nighttime view all the way down the couplet system from here into the downtown, because that entire stretch of coastline is now finally complete, so please do enjoy it. Otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.